Right then, Gyles and Camilla are here to look at today's top headlines. We're going to start with, it was Monday morning, 8:30. It's become the Prime Minister's new press conference time. And this time, Camilla, it's all about migration and cutting down...
I watched the whole speech on the way into this morning, and he's talking tough on immigration. He says it's nothing to do with politics, it's nothing to do with the rise of reform. I've always been very concerned about this issue. I mentioned it 3 years ago at the Labour Party conference. Yeah, OK, fair enough, Mr Starmer. But the point is that they're trying to crack down on people coming here both legally and illegally.
Yep.
Some of the measures include not allowing people to claim citizenship until they've been here for a decade. Currently, it's 5 years. Requiring skilled migrants to have degree-level qualifications, requiring people who come here to raise their standard of English from currently sort of just below GCSE level to A-level English, basically saying people must be fluent, saying that care homes should not employ foreign staff anymore, that they should take British staff, which we'll probably get onto, and a whole raft of other measures, also tinkering with Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which gives that right to family life that some people have been using to stop them from being deported. The Telegraph's written a number of articles about some quite wacky cases, people who have come here, committed crimes here, but then said they can't be sent home. For instance, the classic example was the guy who argued his son would not be able to eat foreign chicken nuggets and therefore he was entitled to stay in the UK and was allowed to do so by an immigration judge. It's ironic to hear it from the Prime Minister because, of course, he was a human rights lawyer and he has previously said things back in his early political days like any border control is inherently racist. He and Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, famously photographed with sort of refugees welcome signs. They were very critical when Theresa May started talking about hostile environments for illegal immigrants. But the political circumstances have changed, Kat. And when they change, so do the policies.
Yes.
Let's be clear, there are two issues that worry people who are watching. One is the whole thing of illegal migration, the whole stop the boats issue. That's not what is being talked about today. Today we're talking about immigration. 900,000 people coming to the country. Going down is what people hope, because they think there are too many people coming into the country. Now, lots of seemingly good ideas here, but over the weekend, as this was coming out, I happened to meet two people. One, somebody in the construction industry, who said, actually, if you want house building to happen, you need people to do the house building. And he said, our company, we use a lot of people from Eastern Europe, particularly from Poland. We love them because they are skilled. They don't have university degrees.
No.
They don't necessarily speak very good English when they arrive, but we need them. And he said, because they come from a Catholic country, they have rather a good work ethic. We like having these guys. I know from old folks' homes, when my mother was living in one, that they actually really need people to work in them. And I also have a good friend who's in the hospitality industry who's facing a nightmare situation because of the increase in NI. His staff bill has gone up by £1 million. He needs people to work in his hotel, not necessarily with degrees. So there's a problem here.
And there's less choice because there's less easy for European workers to come to this country to take those roles and those
So
jobs.
this is the dilemma. We have jobs that need to be filled. Who is going to fill them?
Well, you could make an argument that the people that fill them are the 9 million people now who could work and aren't working. They're economically inactive now.
Some of those... Is it really 9 million people?
Yes.
That's about a quarter of the work age.
So since COVID, that number has shot up.
9 million people.
Of course, there is a very valid argument for saying if you are incapacitated and you cannot work, the less ability you have to work because of a disability or other health condition, the more benefits you should get. That's how the graph should work. But what's happened is the number of people claiming particularly PIP, personal independent payments, and other benefits has shot up. They're claiming them for conditions like anxiety, stress, mild mental illness. Even the former Health Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, who's considered to be a pretty moderate Conservative, very liberal, has said, we simply can't afford this. And it's actually counterintuitive because if you are suffering from a condition like mild anxiety, actually being back in work could really help to solve some of these problems.
And have a schedule.
If we're going to entice people, British workers, into some of these lower paid jobs, then there has to be a tweak which makes sure that the benefit system doesn't seem to make people better off than actually being in a job in a care home or what have you.
So the devil will be in the detail of this. But the principle of it, I think most people agree with, but there will be some short-term challenges. Who is going to do these jobs if people are kept away.
But it's definitely not a reaction to reform and how well they did in the local elections. And Nigel Farage's manifesto. No, definitely not.
Channeling is in a Farage to stop channel crossings.
Anyway.
Is what's happening here, Kat.
At 8:30 in the morning.
Indeed.
Let's move on to our second story. There have been calls for Britain's most dangerous and violent prisoners to be kept in maximum security prisons with no contact with other prisoners and no access to cooking facilities or kettles.
I think there are some cases, not all, this should not be a blanket policy, that there are some people who have been convicted of such heinous crimes that they deserve to lose most of their privileges in prison. We've seen this situation over the weekend with Axel Rudikabana, the Southport killer, having thrown hot water in at a prison officer who thankfully has been treated and is meant to be back at work this week. But speaking personally, if you've gone in there and you've killed those young girls in the most brutal way possible, and I've read the reports from the court, so I know the details, and they are absolutely beyond comprehension, then I'm sorry, you might be one of those prisoners that I'm afraid is going to have to drink cold tea and coffee for the rest of your life.
Let's just ask David Wilson, stayed with us from earlier. David, you've been in these prisons in the past, and you understand how important, how difficult it can be. What do you make of this story?
Well, I visited a number of what are called super maximum prisons in the United States, Stillwater in Minnesota, Florence in Colorado. And I went to visit those supermax prisons because I had to manage a unit for the 12 most disruptive and violent prisoners in England and Wales. And I would say we've got to adopt the supermax principles because my genuine fear is that a prison officer will die in the course of his or her duty in this country. You know, there's a decency agenda. We tend to have in this country a very liberal approach to our prison regimes. And what the American experience taught me was, well, that's fair and right for the vast majority of people, but there are going to be some people for whom that kind of liberal regime is inappropriate because of the danger they pose to other people.
Interesting stuff. David, stay there. And Gyles, we'll come back and get your thoughts on Camilla on this as well, because that experience is absolutely vital to understand how this might work. But when you read what happened over the weekend, you can understand why people would be so upset about the idea that they have the potential to damage those prison guards.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be discussing that story and more of today's headlines next, including the debate dividing the nation. Should you shower in the morning or at night? Gyles and Camilla are staying with us.
Yeah, so before the debate, we were just discussing whether the call for supermax prisons should be introduced here in the UK. David Wilson was discussing sort of your experience of going into these supermaxes. I think you've got a cell you could show us what it looks like if you are a prisoner in one, David.
OK, so this is a typical cell in a supermax prison, super maximum prison in the United States. Very typical of what I saw in Florence, Colorado. The key thing is, even if we just ignore the design features, is that the prisoner will be in this cell for 23 out of every 24 hours. Their statutory allowed 1 hour's exercise in the open air. And when they come out for exercise, they will be accompanied by 3 officers. Now, some people would say in this country, well, that's too much. It's very much like solitary confinement. But these supermax cells are confined to the worst of the worst. The sorts of people that I've met locked up in these cells would include the Unabomber, if people remember Ted Kaczynski, people who were running organised crime groups, people for whom, if you gave them access to the typical regime in American prison, would take advantage of that and attempt to escape or to commit violence against the prison officers.
Gyles, what's your take on what you've heard from David?
I like what I hear from him. I'm in favour, overall, of a prison policy that actually is about reforming the prisoner, about training them, equipping them for life after prison. These people, there's not going to be a life after prison. They are dangerous. It's a tiny minority. The government is committed to 10,000 more prison places in the next 10 years. Some of them should be allocated for this kind of regime for the tiny minority of people who require it for the safety of the rest of us.
And the safety of the guards too.
Yeah, indeed. David, thank you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
David. Thank you very much. Camilla, let's talk about this next story. New research has revealed that moving house is apparently more stressful than childbirth.
Which is ironic, because lots of people move house during, well, not quite during childbirth, but when they're pregnant and they need more space.
We did.
Yeah.
Before we had Sam, we moved literally 3 days before we had Sam.
Yes, I think my eldest was 5, but yeah, I moved when I was pregnant.
Most
That's
people
right.
do.
But look, childbirth itself, while you're in the middle of it, I would say that's peak stress.
I think so too. Because you don't know what's going to happen.
Mid-contraction, that feeling that another contraction is coming, that's
Peak
horrible.
stress for the father as well. I fainted during the last
really.
birth.
Did you?
did.
Got in the way. Yes. Oh, they
Were you
so...
slapped
Were you in
out?
the
I was
business
at the-
end?
Get out of the way.
Oh, the midwives put me into the corridor.
Go get some hot water.
Was disdain.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, at least at the end of childbirth, you have a lovely baby. You can move into a house, there's loads to be done.
Yeah, it doesn't
Everything's
stop, right?
everywhere. You've got that box. There's always one box that hasn't been unpacked
Never
after a
does.
year.
I've got a whole floor of that in my house currently. It's just like full of rubbish.
I mean, the point is, childbirth, which apparently 19% of people said was the most stressful experience, is obviously very painful and traumatic at the time. House moving is a lifetime of trauma because you move, then you've got the mortgage. Did you spend too much?
Yeah.
And the work you're going to do is never completed.
No.
Never, ever completed.
And then you've got to put the bins out every Tuesday night and you get all that wrong.
And the moment you move in, you think, shall we move out? I mean, have we made the right decision? You know? I mean, the whole thing is a nightmare. So that's the one that comes top. A third people say that. 15% people said job interviews were the most stressful.
That can be, yeah.
13 people voted for speaking in public as being the most stressful experience.
Would you say that? Have you ever spoken in public?
12% still say going to the dentist is their most stressful experience.
Oh, well, I
No,
don't like that.
There you
I've
go.
got friends that don't like going to the dentist. You're currently on your tour, though, aren't you, Giles? So you thrive in the public forum.
Revels.
Well, I'm in Oxford, you're right. On Sunday afternoon at the New Theatre. Do come and see how stressed I am.
Not that you want to use this as an opportunity to plug it.
The question is, pre-show,
Yes.
will you have showered or will you wait till the end of the show to shower? There's a new survey that has found that 57% say they shower in the morning instead of at night. I didn't think that was a thing. I thought everyone got up in the morning, washed themselves, then went about their day.
Yes.
But they're seemingly not.
Wrong, wrong, wrong.
Well, no, there's 2 views on this, and it's about hair. Now, I shower in the morning because I will wash my hair, not every day. I do like to do it every other day.
Which hair do you wash in the morning, Giles?
What hair is left here, eh? Because this is why you said you showered in the evening, because
shower-
you don't have a hair dry. There's no
Yes,
point.
it's a hair drying
Kat,
situation.
Are you with me?
Correct.
You're blow drying your hair
Yes.
at night and then sleeping on it and then go, no.
So do you think it's the
gonna be
female-male
time.
divide, then?
I think it might be.
I'm an evening person for this reason. Well, for 2 reasons. One, in the morning, I'm at peak, peak, peak. I want to get out there. I wake up. I am ready to go. I don't want to waste 10 minutes in the shower.
No.
The shower is for unwinding, for singing songs
You
in the
relax
shower.
in the shower.
I relax. I have a shower at the end of the day to clean off the grime of the day. If I don't have a shower, and I try to go to bed without having a shower, I don't sleep nearly so well.
Really?
So I shower. I learn a poem in the shower. What? Because to get
By Yeats?
Possibly by Yeats.
A little limerick or something.
A
What do you-
limerick, yes.
Not the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
No.
You're in there for hours.
There was a young man from Peru whose
You
limerick
do.
stopped at line 2. That's the one I'm working on at the moment. But no, the evening is the time for the shower. The morning is the time for getting on with the day. My wife, of course, is very clean. She showers both morning and evening.
I was
Yes,
going to say, there are those
does
kind of people. I thought you might be a person like that, Ben.
No.
Get up in the morning, shower, do a little workout, and then you'll have a shower at night as
Oh,
well.
yes, because you
It
do
depends.
work out,
It
so
depends.
do you?
Yeah, it depends. But I definitely need a shower in the morning to wake myself up. I'm not peak, Giles. I am getting shower needs to blast
In
me.
fairness, my wife has her shower after her exercise class.
Yes.
Yes.
She gets up, she does an exercise class, and then she showers.
Also, if we're counting non-hair washing showers,
Correct. I'm there with you.
which every
Shower
woman knows
cap.
about,
Yes.
the cap is on, or
Yes.
just the shower is at the body.
I've never looked more attractive when I'm doing that, trying to avoid, like, the hair
So
at the
it's
same time.
complicated.
None of you will remember this, but there was a phase in the 70s of young women wearing wigs. Did you know this?
No.
And my wife had a series of wigs that you would...
how
Yes,
lovely.
and they were lovely. I mean, hair like yours. I mean, lovely wigs that people would wear,
That's
young
what
people
Dolly
wear.
Parton used to say.
Yeah.
They used to ask her how long it took to get ready, and she's like, I don't know, I'm never there. before she starts.
That's a brilliant line.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you ever got lost in IKEA, Camilla?
Yes, I get lost in lots of places. I find John Lewis quite difficult to navigate these days. Well, you go in there and then you can't really find the exit again.
It's
and what
when they've done the
floor am I
switcheroo.
on? And then you have that situation. Has anyone in the history of the world ever walked to the bottom of an escalator or the top of an escalator, it'd be the right escalator. You're trying to go down, it's going up, you're trying to get... So I'm often lost in places
I was in
like
John
this.
Lewis for 2 years.
You weren't peak then.
I was certainly not. Fortunately, on our phones, my wife and I have this thing where we can locate each other.
So she'll track you down.
Which we need even when we're in Tesco, because we're there. If we've each got a basket, she's never in the aisle. I'm looking for her down that aisle, down there. She's never there. I don't see her. I mean,
you should take walkie-talkies.
Apple tag, yeah, you need an AirTag.
I regularly phone her in the shop. She's the other end of the shop.
Are you an IKEA person?
What is IKEA? No, I know.
1 in 5 of us has got lost in IKEA. It would appear that Debbie says I got lost in the Southampton store when she was 7 months pregnant. I was really worried she was going to end up giving birth there. She's only been back twice in 22 years, so traumatised by the event.
I think it's deliberately kind of made to be like that, so you end up in the marketplace and can't get...
Jill's like you,
out.
Giles. I got totally lost in IKEA just last week. I had to ring my son to come and get me. He was in another part of the store. I'm 69. Maybe it's an old age thing. How long were you in John Lewis? How old were you when you got lost in John Lewis?
It was last week,
I forgot. I think I'm still there. No, but orientation is a problem as you get older. And also these places often look so similar. You turn around one corner. Wasn't I here a moment ago? But I've now adopted the idea of treating it like the maze at Kew Gardens.
Yes.
Enjoy the experience. And then what you do at the maze is you keep your hand on the left. Keep moving on the left, and eventually you'll get to the exit.
It's also
that's the
about
trick,
FOMO, isn't it? Because you get shopping FOMO. The whole point of IKEA is I better just follow the path just in case I miss anything.
Yeah, you might. There may be
a cushion somewhere I need to buy.
Or a stashing device.
And it's the same with the supermarket. There are some that have to go up and down the aisles just in case I need to be reminded, oh, I need a tin of beans.
Yes.
And others who are just brutalists go in for 5 items and leave.
SAS, speed,
Well
aggression,
done them.
surprise.
Well done them.
I just follow the smell of the meatballs. That's how I get out.
Do you take a shopping list?
No.
No, I don't take a shopping list, which is why I buy always the same things. Because I'm just
only
used to...
things you can remember.
Always get the tomatoes
Let's be
from there,
honest,
the
you're
grapes
buying a
from
lot
there,
of
the
cheese.
pizza from there, the cheese.
He loves
If
cheese.
you ever find yourself in a supermarket with Giles, just help him out gently
Just ease
and
like care in
quietly.
the
He'll be
community.
lost. He'll be lost somewhere.
Thank you, guys.
Good
Thank
to
you
see
for
you.
visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.